I'm like, oh my gosh, we just roll around in the charts. Oh, look at the breakout. Oh, look at the breakout. Oh my God.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, passive income investors alike. Today we're at Stocktoberfest, where we're going to give you guys some really awesome footage along with my own personal talk on financial passive income, guys. So let's just jump right into this. Too early. You better run. Heading to San Diego for Stock Twits. It's way too early to be getting on this plane.
All the way out here from Toronto this morning after doing a big show last night. I've had little to no sleep except for what I can get on the plane, but I figured I would introduce you guys to what I do first, and then I'm going to explain to you how I got into finance and why I'm specifically focused on passive income sources through the stock market and other means outside of the stock market. But before we get So, when I was about 16, I was planning on becoming a pilot. I was working at McDonald's for a couple of years, working on my pilot license. I loved learning magic when I was a lot younger, and some of my buddies pointed out that I knew way too much about this, and they said, you should probably start working for tips. So I started working for tips, and sure enough, I could make like 20 bucks an hour as a magician. So I fell in love with the idea of it. I worked for tips for 3 years, took out a business loan, started a business, and around the same time, my mom is actually a sheep farmer. I grew up on a farm, shoveling shit, stacking hay, a bit of a different lifestyle. And I asked her, I said, you know, it'd be fun to get involved in somebody else's business, not just trying to start my own from scratch. If there's any way to get involved in people's businesses. And she introduced me to the stock market. Not something that I thought I would ever get involved with, but the second I found out what it meant and what it was, I pretty much fell in love instantly. And I wanted to see where I could take it, and obviously, you know, being a young kid, I had $1,000, lost half of it day trading. I think we've all been there once or twice. Thank God I only started with 1,000 and not 100. But luckily, I educated myself quite a bit. I grew up in a place where drugs were pretty prevalent, and I understood what Canopy Growth Corp was doing before Justin Trudeau got voted in, and especially when he got voted in. I started picking it up for about $3.80 a share. I made a bit of money on it, sold it, and then decided to buy back in. I also started buying my mom some shares in it. Later started selling out. I think my average buy price was around $8. Started selling out in the 20s, and then a bit of the low 30s, and then I've stepped back ever since. I've geared more into the passive income focus because a lot of people, I think, especially the younger generation, don't do as much technical trading as you guys do. I am not personally a technical day trader. I don't have time for it. I used to do it, but there's a lot of ins and outs. There's a lot of different things, obviously options, you can do shorts, whatever, right? But a lot of the people that I work with mainly started focusing on passive income. Obviously, we all know dividends, but I think outside of the stock market, especially the nuances of this generation, people aren't paying enough attention to online businesses. Any of you guys ever heard of a company called Empire Flippers? No? Not one of you? Oh my goodness, sorry, I'm just shocked. It's been a world I've been involved with so much. So people are sustaining 50% plus returns on basically buying and selling online businesses. I'm sure you've all heard of Shopify, obviously. Why is Shopify becoming a multi-billion-dollar brand? Because people are starting businesses, scaling them, and if you can make even $1,000 a month, you could probably flip the business for about 50 grand. That's on the lower end. This company called Empire Flippers has become very world-renowned for basically doing all the analysis, making sure these companies are legit. There's another company called Flippa. It's like the ghetto version of online businesses. But what people will do is these businesses can sell from anywhere from $50,000 to $5 million, depending on the brand, how much income they're producing. And the rate of returns are so much higher than most companies because people just don't get how Google AdSense work. They don't get Amazon Associates. They don't do anything with Amazon FBA. They just don't get it. So people usually end up chasing stock market, trying to do the fast capital gains instead of looking at actually just buying and owning a business that basically has zero maintenance because it's all online. You can hire an online manager to manage it as long as you find the right guy that knows what he's doing. And you want to be a little careful because obviously Google likes to change their algorithm once in a while, which tends to ding some of these companies. But with affiliate marketing, you can find businesses that have like such a diverse culture. They make money off affiliates. There's just so many different ways these businesses can produce incomes to build the revenues, and a lot of these people are just buying and flipping them. I can't believe none of you guys have ever heard of Empire Flippers. I really suggest you check it out. Sorry?
What was it called?
Empire Flippers, off this one website, and then diversifying a portfolio for shareholders. So basically they can gear away from real estate and the stock market, because I think too many of us are focused on those two main sources, which in real estate we all know get a little out of control in Canada. I've been talking to some of you about this already. You all know that in Toronto, basically a 500 square foot apartment sells for about $600,000. It's absolutely absurd. Like, it doesn't make any logical sense. Just really quick, this is gonna be a fun little gag. We're gonna have a little bit of fun with this. And everyone's worried. Fear. They're like, what the fuck is this guy gonna do now? Jesus.
Kenny, get over here.
Kenny! Where's Kenny?
Come read someone's mind.
Get Kenny in here. What we're gonna do, Kenny, you have no idea what's going on, which makes this even better. What you're gonna do for me really quick, if you don't mind, you can hold out your hands like this if you want. I'm gonna go through one at a time. Whenever you're ready, I just want to yell out stop somewhere for me. You'll see they're all different this way, too. It doesn't really matter. Stop. That was quick. Are you sure? Yeah. All right, go ahead and take that. Don't want anybody but you to see that card, okay? It's very important you only see that card. Now, like I said, I'm not gonna try and read your mind today. That's not gonna be my job. I'm gonna take a look at it. You got it? Don't worry if they fall. I'm not using them again anyways. Kenny, you're gonna try and read his mind. I don't know what, I don't know if you're doing that talk there. I'm not sure what you're doing here either. Everyone's doing something pretty interesting here. So, you're going to do all the work though, because you're going to send that card over to him. So I want you to stare him in the eyes. Okay. Stare him down. Yep. I want you to send that card over to him, and hopefully he's just going to see it, okay? I'm hoping he's not going to have to think too hard about this. Do you think it's a red or a black card, Ken?
I'm feeling red.
That was like a 50-50 shot. Right? He's right though, yeah? Correct. Okay. Well, do you think it's a heart or a diamond?
I'm gonna have to say hearts.
I like Kenny. Kenny's fun. Is he right? If you would take your time with this, by the way, I like this. You're very, it's good, it's good. Name any random heart, what would it be?
It's between 8 and 10. I'm gonna go with 9.
Let's see. Not bad.
What the fuck?
Thank you.
Beyond the technical analysis. Give him a big round of applause.
Yeah, I was outside with Drake. We're having some fun, and next thing you know, they called me inside to do some stand-up. But I don't know. Where do we go from here? Drinks. Where do we go from here? Oh, drinks, happy hour. All right, let's keep drinking and talking about stocks. But when I think about you and how many charts, do you print out the charts and roll around them at night? You do. Oh my God. I mean, do you have bed sheets? Do you have feety pajamas with charts on them?
This is a fucking curse.
Oh my God. You're not like, oh my God, you just roll around in the charts. Oh, look at the breakout. Oh, look at the breakout. Oh my God. Oh, am I a child that I can't talk to women about stocks? Because when I say I'm long a stock, I'm like, are you? I'm really long a stock. I think you should take a position in it. I mean, is it wrong? Am I a child? I think I'm a child. I'm a 48-year-old child. That's what keeps me young. You wanted to know. It's not just a fish. I'm an immature idiot. And that's what keeps me young. My man, the illusionist. He shows up. And here I am thinking you're gonna do some magic, and you're talking about stocks. What the fuck? Really? I wanted to see some fucking levitation and shit, and like shit coming out of you, like I was waiting for a here he is.
Yeah, just thinking about the EBITDA was just great. I mean, you gotta love this thing.
Seriously, you let me down. You let me down, Toronto. But I still love you. But
The one thing that I'm worried about is just bad behavior. The idea that
specifically.
My son came home the other day and he vapes, and he's in denial about his vaping problem. And we send him like every day a vape death, or like we're sending him like stories to paywalls, and we're trying to like just talk about vaping. And he used the word fake news like in a conversation the other day, and I was like, what the fuck are you talking about fake news? And he goes, Dad, there's like thousands of stories, and And so he's so overwhelmed with the influx of, like, first there was no stories about things. All the stories were like how cool it was, and like celebs are using them, and like taste like cucumbers and farts or whatever flavor they're getting. And now it's like an inundation of like, you're gonna die. And so in his reaction and his friend's reaction is like, they know there's something, but they're just shutting out all the news, going, it won't happen to me, and fake news. And I looked at him and I go, no, sentiment-wise, yes. There is a lot of news, which in the trading world means maybe you could buy some marijuana stocks or buy Philip Morris because the news is overflowing, but underneath that news is a kernel of truth. And kids are dying, and maybe it's not an epidemic, but there's a problem. So I think that's my big worry. There's so much misinformation, and the media, Trump is as crazy as I think he is, and dangerous. He really isn't that dangerous because he's scared of his own shadow, but like dangerous. He's right about a lot of things, right? Like he just says it, like he has a way of cutting through the rhetoric. And so some of these things that I worry about, where kids are like just tuning out.
Yeah, so we've been talking about like information overload in the investing markets forever, but now that overload is affecting just society and everything.
Well, the other thing I was saying to my daughter is like, we read about Me Too all day, right? And it's an issue. Like Mad Men, when I watch Mad Men, I go, yeah, that's what it was like. And then my daughter, who went to work at a guy's, like she had 9 nephews that she grew up with, and she comes home the other day and she's listening to the raunchiest, barstool, misogynistic barstool network, where all the women, like the 40 of... Yeah. Like she...
The woman from Barstool defended that headline.
So I'm saying, like, we don't, like, and she's like working at Rally Road, and she was upset that, she was hoping I'd meet a boyfriend at Rally Road. And I was like explaining to her, no, guys aren't allowed to talk to you at the work setting.
Especially because it's a portfolio company of yours.
She's looking for she's going like, how about Me Too? Like she's the opposite. She's like, wish somebody would offend me. And so it's just weird. Like, I mean, we've pushed the pendulum. I think we've pushed the pendulum. Like, Me Too really does mean something, but it definitely doesn't mean something to my daughter who's 20 and is looking for a little un-Me Too.
They're just like...
I feel like
this whole thing should be edited out.
Scared. Like,
life is incredibly long nowadays, and it's incredibly short. And you're gonna be on the earth for 100 years, and you're gonna do whatever you do. And I think people are very short-term focused within that. They really think about the next 5 years, really about the next 10, really about the next 20. And if you're really going to live to 80 or 100 years, you should kind of have that plan. And so, I talk to people in their 20s, like, if I'm not an entrepreneur now, I'm going to miss my window. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, go and have your 5 kids, have your family, and then be an entrepreneur. People feel there's these narrow windows of opportunity. People have the opportunity to do things throughout their life and pace yourself and think respectfully about that. The other side is life is incredibly short.
But what's the reason where you wouldn't tell someone, look, I started at 40, and I don't know if that's true. I mean, you're taking a huge long-term risk to do that. So what's the reasons someone would come to you, like one of your kids came to you to do that and they didn't have like John Frankel financial backing, when would you tell them not to do that?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily tell them. It really depends what they're trying to do and their passion, whether they're right place or not. We give money to entrepreneurs, in their 20s, in their 30s, in their 40s, in their 50s, at all different stages. We don't have a bias one way or another. But it's about the situation, the drive, and what they think they can really do. And as you said, if someone's really driven, doesn't mean they can do it anyway. But the other thing is, the worst thing to do is to say, you know what, starting a company is too risky, and I'm just going to go and work for Raytheon or whatever. Not that I'm going to be against Raytheon for the next 40 years, because that's the low risk choice. And I think it's the high risk choice. Okay. Because it's a low volatility outcome for what you can do. And we live in a world of just unbelievable opportunity. Everybody in their pocket has a supercomputer. We don't even use the term supercomputer now. It's ridiculous. You've got the access to the whole of human knowledge, and the efficiencies that are coming and capable with the tech stacks we have are amazing. And so I really think we're very lucky to be born at this point in time.
Very.
And the opportunities that sit in front of folks. And so I encourage people to explore that. And I know we're out of time, but I'm not going to end this sentence until you cut me off.
Yeah, class.
San Diego, guys, check this out. How wonderful is this beach? Oh my God, we just finished up at a stock conference and we still get to enjoy this for a little bit before we head back to the airport in an hour. I mean, how awesome is this? Even for a day, it's still pretty great, right? It's pretty cool.